Hey, it worked! As usual. When I say it like that, makes it sound like it might not. But it did, which it usually does. Hey, I'm Luke. Welcome to this live class. I will be your teacher for this class, your English teacher. If you're an English learner, welcome. We have a lot to talk about. And of course, I have something on my lip. And of course, I will be answering your English question. If you're not an English learner, get out. No, you can stay if you want. You can watch. I've had a few people mention, hey, I watch your live streams. I'm an English native speaker, but I still watch them. I think it's weird. I don't understand it. I think it's insane behavior, but whatever you want to do, I won't judge you. Besides the judgments I just made. Okay, seriously though, we do have a lot to talk about. Paulson is here. That's good news. And also George is here, which is good. Hello, hello. Hello and welcome. Guys, we do have a lot of interesting stuff to discuss. So I hope you have good questions as well. Lolly Lolly somehow is always awake. I'm not sure how that happens. Robot. And so it's good to have you here. It's good to have you here. Today we're going to be doing a couple of interesting things. We will be looking at some situations or an English situation and how we can use specific English phrases to explain ourselves in those situations. We will also be, and it's going to be a video, by the way. We'll also be then going through some common questions that you guys may have, and I will be doing my best to answer those questions clearly. So hopefully that makes sense. Guys, if you wouldn't mind doing me a huge favor, I can't explain how huge of a favor it is. Could you hit the like button or the thumbs up? That would be great. That really helps the channel. It lets people know that there's something going on here and other people could and should watch. Also, if you want to see when these happen, live streams or videos or whatever, make sure you hit the subscribe button or follow so that you can see when that happens. And also, check out my full English courses in the links in the description. Full English courses. Lolly Lolly, then how do you explain why you're awake at this hour? I know you live in France, because you just said hello from France. If I do the calculation, let's see. What time is it in France right now? Oh, 11:46 p.m. That's actually not that late. That's actually not bad. Never mind. Lolly Lolly is a person, I guess. I thought it was later than that. I don't know why. I thought it was later than that in Europe. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Well, I think we can get started, guys. I want to start with something that I think is very interesting. We've looked at something similar. You may have seen the video where we looked at an English lesson from Japan from the 1990s. I think it's from the 90s. And I have a bad case of diarrhea. If you haven't seen that one, check it out. It's funny and also surprisingly useful. Surprisingly useful. Now, we can do the same thing with an English lesson from the same people about dating in English. So, these people who have produced these English learning videos have decided that a good way to help people remember English phrases is to do dances. To have these three girls, and their clothes indicate to me that it's the 90s. These three girls dance and say the phrases. This particular one is about dating phrases. If you were a guy asking a girl out in particular, what you would say, but it would also work the other way in some cases. Okay? So, what we're going to do is go through the video because it's not just one phrase. Before, it was just one phrase. We looked at, I have a bad case of diarrhea. If you haven't seen that one, you gotta watch it. It's really funny. I find it to be hilarious. But at the same time, it is useful because it sticks in your head. You remember it, I have a bad case. And it is also surprisingly useful because I have a something of something is very common in spoken English. So, some of the things in this video I think are kind of common, but maybe a little outdated, maybe a little weird. We're going to talk about them one by one. We're going to kind of go through it together. That's what we're going to do. So let's take a look at the first part of this, I think, also very entertaining video.
最後にもう一度おさらいです。さりげなくこんな会話から。Do you have plans for tomorrow? Do you have plans for tomorrow? Do you have plans for tomorrow? Do you have plans for tomorrow?
Is there another part?
Do you have plans for tomorrow? Do you have plans for tomorrow? Do you have plans for tomorrow? Do you have plans for tomorrow?
Okay, I think you will never forget that. You will never forget. Do you have plans? Now, the question is that natural English? If there's a date situation, a guy wants to ask a girl out on a date, or maybe even a girl wants to ask a guy to go out. Well, Americans will typically say what they want to do rather than do you have plans? Because the common answer when someone says do you have plans is, well, why? That can be a little bit awkward because I might say yes to some things and no to some things, right? If you want to schedule a meeting with me, yeah, maybe yes, I can talk with you tomorrow or we can meet tomorrow. So no, I don't have plans. It's a little bit awkward, right? But if you want to ask me on a date, and maybe I do have plans, right? So maybe I want to lie a little bit and avoid that awkward situation. So it is correct to say, do you have plans tomorrow? It is common. People do say it. But just be aware that when you do say it, the person listening to it will think, I don't know if I should say yes or no, right? I might say I have plans if I want to avoid whatever you might be suggesting. And I might say, no, I'm free if I want to probably accept whatever you're going to suggest. So my suggestion would be, instead of saying, do you have plans tomorrow? I would suggest that you say, would you be interested in going to a movie tomorrow? Would you be interested in going to a movie tomorrow? Or do you want to go see a movie tomorrow? Right? I haven't dated anyone in a very long time, but if I remember correctly, it would be something like, hey, would you like to have dinner tomorrow? And that's a very common, very natural question. Now, the date part is implied. Dinner is a date. If I ask someone to have dinner in that kind of setting, then it suggests that it's a date, right? So most of the time in America, we use that. We say the thing rather than first saying, are you free tomorrow? Do you have plans tomorrow? Although I would like to be very clear that some people do say, are you free tomorrow? Do you have plans tomorrow? That is totally fine, not just for dating situations, for lots of situations. Okay, so that's how we handle the first part of that. Let's continue. We need to go to the next part of this lesson. Very useful stuff. Let's go to the next part. Okay, here we go.
若者らしく爽やかに。
Will you go out with me tomorrow? Will you go out with me tomorrow? Will you go out with me tomorrow? Will you go out with me tomorrow?
Gotta have the guys now. Where's the guys?
Will you go out with me tomorrow? Will you go out with me tomorrow? Will you go out with me tomorrow? Will you go out with me tomorrow?
デートの常識です。
Good stuff. Good stuff. I like it. All right. So again, will you go out with me tomorrow is correct. Some people will say it, but it is a bit direct. If we want to soften it a little bit, we might, instead of saying, will you, we might say, would you like to? Would you like to go out tomorrow? Would you like to go out tomorrow? Would you like to go out tomorrow? But then the other person, let's say there's a girl, there's a guy, I'm the guy, and I say, hey, would you like to go out tomorrow? Or I might say, would you like to go out and do something tomorrow? Or I might say, would you like to do something tomorrow? Then the question will be, maybe from her, well, it depends. What do you want to do? What would you like to do? What kind of plans do you have in mind? What do you have in mind is actually a very common question. What do you have in mind? Very common. So we could say it, we can say it, people say it, but to simplify it, we might just do what I said before. We might just say, hey, would you like to get dinner? Hey, would you like to go see a movie? Hey, do you want to go for a 3-day weekend into the mountains? That sounds creepy. Cancel that one. Not that. Well, if we're in a... if we're kind of already in a relationship, then saying going for a 3-day retreat in the mountains might not be so creepy. But if it's a stranger, say, excuse me, miss, would you like to go for a 3-day retreat in the mountains? Get away from me. That is creepy. Right. So my point is there to just say, generally speaking, we can cut out the middleman and say, do you want to get dinner? Do you want to go out with some of my friends? We're going out tomorrow for dinner. Do you want to join us? Would you like to go see a movie? Would you like to take a walk? Whatever it may be. It's better to just say the thing. Then the other person can make a decision immediately without saying, well, that depends. Right? Because if I'm not sure, then I'll say, well, that depends. What do you have in mind? Right? What do you have in mind? Then we have to talk about that. It can make the whole thing a little more awkward and a little bit more complicated. Okay? Let's continue. This is, I'm enjoying this. So far, 2 actually useful phrases, but better ways to say both of them. Okay. Here we go.
I will pick you up at your place. I will pick you up at your place. I will pick you up at your place. I will pick you up at your place.
Gotta have the
さ
guys.
りげ
Where
な
are
い
the
褒め
guys?
言葉。
No guys this time?
You look sensational in that dress.
That one later. Okay, so the guys didn't say it that time. I don't know why. This one, I think, is a bit strange. I will pick you up at your place. Well, then we have to talk about where my place is. But really, that's too direct and too straight, and it assumes a lot. It assumes that I will be the one driving you and getting you. It assumes that that's okay with you and you won't be anywhere else before we have a plan to meet to go on a date, right? So wouldn't it be better to say, as a suggestion, shall I pick you up at your place? So as a question, then the answer can be yes, or oh no, actually I'm going to be downtown anyway. Why don't you meet me downtown? Oh, okay, sure. That sounds fine. Because if I ask it as a question, I can get that information. If I say, I will pick you up at your place, then if that's wrong, if you're already in Midtown and you want me to meet you there rather than pick you up at your place in my bus, I don't know what kind of vehicle I have in this strange hypothetical. Yes, I drive a bus. It's getting creepier all the time. Well, it's better to ask. And I think that's a common trend we're seeing here, right? We're seeing, instead of saying, are you free? We're seeing, would you like to do this? Giving people more information and asking them to give you feedback immediately, or asking them if it's okay if you can pick them up or meet them somewhere or whatever it is, and then they can confirm that. We don't want to jump into an awkward situation where I've made an assumption, I've said it directly, and then you say, well, first of all, I don't even have a place, right? I live in a dormitory, a college dormitory. Oh, okay, where's that? And then there's an awkward conversation that follows. Okay, this is getting more and more awkward. Now it's dating college students. I'm a 31-year-old man. What is wrong with me? So the point there, I think, is to ask. Ask the question. Don't make a statement like that. That is something, generally speaking, you want to avoid. Okay? Let's continue. Let's keep going.
You look sensational in that dress. sensational in that dress. You look sensational in that dress.
All right. You look sensational in that dress. What does sensational mean? Sensational means fantastic, amazing, great, right? That's what sensational means. So if someone says, you look sensational in that dress, you look beautiful in that dress, you look so cute in those shoes, you look so handsome in that suit, you look so handsome in that shirt, you look so beautiful with that hairstyle, you look so cute with those glasses, you look so handsome with those whatever it is, okay? It's okay to say that. In or with, in that dress, in that suit, with those glasses, with that hairstyle. So it's fairly common. Now, to me, you look sensational in that dress sounds way too formal, right? And maybe that's just the way that modern interactions and dating happens. It's not that formal. Miss, you look sensational in that dress. It's so formal, and I think it's a little bit awkward. And again, I haven't dated anyone for how many years? 7 years? 7 years, right? So maybe it's changed a little bit, but I'm pretty sure in fact it's getting even less formal. It's much more casual. So you could say you look nice, you look beautiful, you look lovely. Lovely is a little formal. A girl could say the opposite to a guy. Not the opposite, could say the same thing to a guy, but instead of saying you look lovely to a guy, she might say you look handsome. You look handsome. You look nice. Nice works for both. So I think you look nice is nice. That's good. And that's pretty relaxed. It's not too formal. It's not too awkward. So can you say you look sensational in that dress? Yeah, you can, but I recommend avoiding it because it's too formal. It's awkward. All right, here we go. Keep going.
You look sensational in that dress. You look sensational in that dress.
Say this.
You look sensational in that dress. You look sensational in that dress.
I like these guys' dances. Is this, ladies, is this attractive?
彼女のことをもっと
Is
知
this
りたい
what
と
you
き
have to be handsome? Wear a tie
Are
and
you
dance like
serious about
you would do with this
anyone?
person.
Are you serious about anyone? Are you serious about anyone? Are you serious about anyone?
Are the guys going to say it? Are the guys going to
Are
say it
you
or not?
serious about
Oh, they're going to
anyone?
say it again. Okay. There's no consistency in this video. What is going on? No consistency. Okay. So, are you serious about anyone? What do they mean by that? Well, what the real meaning here is, do you currently have a serious boyfriend or a girlfriend? Now, we don't really say this anymore. If you say it, people will understand, but it's just not common anymore. Don't say, are you serious about anyone? If you're in a dating situation, it's better to say, just, are you seeing anyone now? Are you seeing anyone? Are you seeing anyone at the moment? So are you, we could say, with anyone now? Are you with anyone at the moment? We could also say, so are you dating anyone? Are you dating anyone? Are you dating anyone? Are you with anyone? Are you seeing anyone? Serious, not so common. I think it's a bit outdated. So maybe skip that one. Skip that one. But otherwise, I think it's okay. Otherwise, the question itself as a thing to ask is natural. This form of the question, yeah, not so much. Not so much. Okay, here we go.
About anyone? Are you serious about anyone? Are you serious about anyone?
思い切って告白するときは
I want
Say.
us to be more than just friends. I want us to be more than just friends. I want us to be more than just friends.
It's funny.
I want us to be more than just friends.
Oh, it's so weird.
I
How
want
about
us
this one?
to be more
Yeah, why?
than
Yeah, I
just
know you're saying
friends.
it again. Very important. Good to remember. I mean, whatever you may say about how kind of silly and goofy these videos are, it stays in your head. So what about that one? I want us to be more than just friends. Actually, yeah. Yes, people will say this, but it's in a particular situation. Specific. What is the situation? Well, this is when maybe two people, a boy and a girl, are close, they have a relationship, but not a dating relationship, and one person feels sort of romantic about the other person and wants to kind of confess it, right? More of a confession of, I'm in love with you, that sort of thing. Or I'm interested in pursuing a romantic relationship with you, whereas before we've been just buddies, just friends, colleagues, maybe not colleagues. I guess you could get fired for that, right? But you have a what's called platonic relationship with the other gender, right? I have a platonic relationship with a female, or female has a platonic relationship with a male. Usually that's how it works. I guess you could mix it up too. And then one person feels a very strong sort of romantic sense about the other person. They'll say, I don't know how you feel, but I would like to be very awkward. I would like to be more than just friends. You'd probably be very, very shy and uncomfortable when you're saying that to someone, right? But that is what you'd say. That's what you'd say. And so it's common. It's useful. This is actually one that I don't have any edits on. It's fine. It's fine. And we might ask it in a more questioning way. We might say something like, so would you be interested in being more than just friends? And then seeing how the other person responds, right? That would be okay. But it's basically the same thing. So no problem on that one. Let's continue.
I want us to be more than just friends. I want us to be more than just friends. I want us to be more than
I
just
got it. Thank you.
friends.
I know.
おしゃれな
What is with
口説
that
き文句
shocking?
です
What is the point of that?
Here's to your lovely eyes. Here's to your lovely eyes. Here's to your lovely eyes. Here's to your lovely eyes.
Are they going to do it
Here's
again?
to your lovely eyes.
Where did the
Here's
guys
to
go?
your
Shouldn't the
lovely
guys be
eyes.
saying this?
Here's to your lovely
Because
eyes. Here's to your lovely eyes.
それでは来週もこの時間元気な筋肉たちとお会いしましょう
All right. So, what about this one? What is going on here when someone says, here's to something? We say here's to something when we want to make a toast. Often we have a glass, or in my case, a plastic water bottle, and we do a toast. Here's to your success in your new job, right? Here's to your success. And we say that. Here's to to say what we're making a toast about or for, right? Here's to the new year. Cheers, toast. Okay. Here's to our new friendship. Here's to our new business relationship, whatever it is, okay? No one would say business relationship, but you get the idea. Now, would someone say, here's to your lovely eyes? Again, I have to throw this in. I'm a little bit out of the dating scene, so maybe people do say that, but it certainly doesn't seem like something people would say. Things are moving, I think, in spoken English toward the direction of less formal and more casual. That is such a bizarrely formal thing to say that I would say don't say it. It's so awkward to make a toast to someone's eyes. Now, you could comment. You could say, oh, you have lovely eyes. You have beautiful eyes. I like your eyes. Sure, you can say those things. I don't know, whatever you want to say, but keep it simple. If it's awkwardly formal, here's to your lovely eyes. Here's to your glistening, oily skin, or whatever is attractive. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't even come from this planet, so I'm just trying to fit in. Avoid this one. Just avoid it. I don't even have a revision for this one. For the other ones, I have revisions. For this one, I would say just don't say it. Completely avoid it. If you want to compliment someone, just say that you like that thing about them, or you think it looks nice, or you think it's beautiful or handsome or whatever it is. Use the adjective. Keep it simple, okay? So, what are the basic things that we can take away from this? Well, one is that repetition and maybe dancing makes things stick. But the other is that we should really always ask questions and get people to confirm information rather than assuming. And the type of question we ask, whether it's in a dating situation or not, we could also use this when we're just inviting a friend to do something, we should try to be as specific as possible with the first question. If the first question is, what are you doing tomorrow? Or are you free tomorrow? I recommend avoiding, are you free tomorrow? Do you have plans tomorrow? Because people's answers to that question will depend on the thing that you're going to suggest. So then again, they have to ask the awkward question, what do you have in mind? And that's what you would ask in that situation. That's what I always say. So avoid vague starting questions. Be specific. Always ask a question. Don't say, I will call you back in 10 minutes. I will pick you up at your house. Say instead, is it okay if I pick you up at your place at 7? And then the other person can confirm, right? Or, can I call you back in 20 minutes? Confirm. Get the answer, right? And also, I think in general, between people and also in dating situations, there's a move toward the less formal. So these very formal phrases that you've heard, whether it's girls to guys, guys to girls, or whatever, these formal phrases that you've heard, generally speaking, are pretty much outdated. Most of the ones that I know, they're outdated. People don't really say them. So we say things a lot more simply now, I think, generally speaking, if we want to be natural. Okay? So hopefully that's useful. If you want to watch more of these videos and have me comment on them, let me know. This is a whole series. We might be looking at more in the future. Let me know which ones you'd like to see, or if you have other videos in mind that you'd like me to comment on that we can go through. If you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. Of course, subscribe, and check out my full English courses in the links in the description. Okay. Title: Learn English, I stream. Relationship advice. Well, I wouldn't say it's relationship advice. I don't consider myself necessarily qualified to give relationship advice. But I can give a sense of what's awkward in spoken English, I suppose. Does a movie script help me to improve my speaking skills? Mohammed says. I wouldn't necessarily say so. Maybe it'll help with your... reading a movie script is like reading a book, right? What's the difference? It's not that different, except most of the things that you're reading are either descriptions or dialogue between characters. So I would say use it as reading, but I don't think it's going to necessarily make you a better English speaker. Oop. Could you please tell us more about embedded questions? I have some confusion and ambiguity about this topic. Embedded questions. Well, that is an interesting phrasing for it. Let me search what that even means. Embedded questions. I can guess, but I have not a particular phrase that I've heard. An embedded question is a question that includes another question, obviously. They are common after introductory phrases such as, I wonder, could you tell me? Well, that would be a very large category of things, wouldn't it? Korchi, why don't you be a little more specific with your question? Specifically, what kind of embedded questions? Do you have any problems with specific embedded questions? Because that does seem to be a pretty large category of things, a giant category, and I wouldn't even know where to begin. Lolly Lolly says, do you have a plan next month? Yes, I have many plans next month, Lolly Lolly. Do you? Tika NF says, finally, I can watch your live stream, Luke. Yeah, that's great. Great to have you. Hello from Greece. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Guys, now is the time to ask questions. So if you have questions about pronunciation, about common situations that you may face, and you want to know how to say those things in English, about idioms, about how to put sentences together, about phrasal verbs, whatever it may be, let me know what your questions are, and I will do my best to answer them, assuming that they are interesting questions. Tika says, Lolly Lolly, is that you? Yes, that is Lolly Lolly. The one and only Lolly Lolly. Tika is a cool name, by the way. I like it. This live will be here to watch it again. Yes, that's right, Christian. So after the live streams are posted, there's a period of time when they are processing, and that takes a couple of hours, I think. And then once that's done, then they can be rewatched. Now, for the time being, I'm leaving them available to be rewatched. Sometimes I do remove them and make them private. So I might do that in the future, but for now, I'm just leaving them up as public for people to rewatch if they miss, because I've had quite a few people tell me they would like to do that. What's the difference between idioms and phrases? That's an interesting question. That is a very interesting question. Okay, we can talk about that. We can talk about that, no problem. Generally speaking, it's simple, but to get it really accurately, I think it would be good to have the formal dictionary definitions here. I can explain it as I understand it, but I would like to have a backup here. When is my next live stream? Probably maybe next Tuesday, something like that. Maybe next Tuesday. Or maybe Wednesday. I usually do the first one on Tuesday or Wednesday. Why not do a chat course, reading course, listening course, and other? I have, actually. If you're interested in my courses, you can check out the link in the description. It's the Luke Pretty one. Those courses are, they cover a lot of topics, from thinking skills to listening skills to pronunciation, idioms and phrases, really a lot of courses. So check those out. It's in the description. You can click on the link and see which courses are there. Okay. What are the common collocations in spoken English? Not a great question. That's too broad of a question. Too broad, too broad. There are literally hundreds of thousands of them, so not really possible to answer. Got to be kind of specific with your questions, guys. Specific questions give specific answers. General questions maybe don't get answered. That's how it goes. Okay, just want to get... One sec. Smittum. With my mittum. I have no idea what that means. I've never heard or seen that in my entire life. Which means you can delete it from your memory. It's just taking up space. Okay. So, my computer is running a little bit slow today. I'm not sure why. Sorry, just give me a sec, guys. I've been a little frustrated by my computer these days. It's been so slow. Okay. So, Tika NF says, what's the difference between idioms and phrases? Now, you'll notice if you've taken any of my courses, especially my courses about English idioms, you'll notice that I use the word idiom and phrase often interchangeably. That means I might say one or the other to mean basically the same thing. And a lot of people will do that. but the basic meaning of each is a bit different, and maybe we can focus on that a bit, right? The way that I use idioms and phrases generally means some words which have a particular meaning in a situation or setting in the English language. So if I say a common phrase, that means a common set of words. A common set of words that has a particular meaning. And that's all it means, really. Okay, and I use idiom and phrase to describe that. Now that's actually not quite accurate for idiom, even though I often use it like that. An idiom, more technically, is usually cultural in its meaning, which means that if you look at the words in the idiom, right, you say cut corners, cut corners, cut corners. You won't generally, you might be able to, but you won't necessarily be able to guess what it means, because the reason that it has the meaning is cultural. Maybe an even better example would be something like break a leg, right? Why do people say break a leg when someone is about to go up on stage or perform? Well, they say it because that means good luck. Why would I say break a leg when I want to say good luck? I'm going to go do my presentation now. Okay, great, break a leg. Why do you want me to break my leg? That's not very nice. No. Break a leg means good luck, I hope you do well. And you might think, what? I don't understand. I would like you to reflect on your own language and think about groups of words that, if you look at them, don't mean what they seem they mean. That's an idiom. It comes from the culture. It has a unique history. It's not important necessarily to know what that history is. It's not necessarily important to know the origin of, for example, break a leg. But it is important to know how it's used. It doesn't mean, I want you to break your leg. It means good luck. And then you can't say, oh, well, it shouldn't mean that. You can't say it shouldn't mean that. It means that. I'm telling you it means that. Everyone knows it means that. That's what it means. Okay? So you just have to accept it. So when it comes to idioms, you have to be very open-minded and just generally speaking accept, oh, this means that? Okay, I got it. And if you want to learn the background, that's fine, but it's not that important. So and it's usually a few words, but it could be longer. That's generally the way that idioms work. Now, phrases, they're a little more, it's a bit more general, we could say. A phrase is just a set of words. That's all it is. A few words together. That's what a phrase is. That's the broad meaning of a phrase. It's more than one word. That's a phrase. But the way that people usually use phrase is more than one word, a few words together in a common string that usually can't be changed around, right? And so the line then between idiom and phrase becomes unclear. If someone says, for example, keep me in the loop, it's a common workplace expression, right? Keep me in the loop. Is this an idiom or a phrase? Well, I think most people would say it's an idiom, but it could also be considered a phrase as well because it's a common set of words that's put together, which means make sure I know what other people know so that I don't fall behind and not know what's happening, for example, in a team of colleagues. I would use interchangeably, oh, that's a very useful, very common phrase. That's a very useful, very common idiom. And I don't use the word collocation. Very common phrase, very common idiom. But a phrase doesn't have to have only the cultural meaning, where you look at the individual words and say, I don't know what this means until someone tells you what it means. Sometimes, with a phrase, you look at it, it's a common set of words, and you know what it means. You understand it without having someone explain it to you. You don't need someone to give you the cultural background of that thing. And that's generally how it works. So it's a bit broader than idiom. But again, I would be clear, the way that I think most people use them are very close to interchangeable, meaning that people will use one when they mean the other. People use this idiom when they use phrase, and vice versa. Okay? Generally, that's how it works. That's generally how people use both of them. All right, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe, and also check out my full courses in the links in the description. Okay, good question. Let's see what we have here. The best person to teach you English. Are you Scottish? Am I Scottish? No, I'm not Scottish. I like Scotch, but I'm not Scottish. Tika, hopefully that answers your question, generally speaking. Hopefully it does. Christian says, how do you pronounce words that end with SM? That's a good question. Okay, I was just thinking if there are other examples of words that aren't pronounced that way. Okay. So Christian says, how do you pronounce words which end with SM? I think that's what you mean there. Words that end with the SM sound. We could say it's kind of one sound, right? So simply put, the way this sounds is zum, zum. Z sound plus sound. And we don't say z. Be careful not to say zum, because that's a common mistake. C-H-A-S-M. Chasm. Zum. Chasm. Chasm. Zum, 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 zum. It's very quick, and we want to go from the z to the zum, zum. Close the mouth right away with no long in between. It's a common thing that makes pronunciation sound a little incorrect and strange. Chasm. Odd. Odd. Chasm. 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 Zum. Zum. Now, what does it sound like when there is an S next to an M, when the S is not pronounced as a Z, but is just pronounced as S? Well, I can't think of any words that end with SM where you would do that. There may be, but I can't think of any. But earlier in words, you will absolutely have SM side by side. For example, you might have small, small, smooth, smooth, smell, smell, smother, smother, right? So, generally speaking, if it's that S right at the start of the word followed by the M, then the S is going to be the, we could say, simple S, let's just call it that, which is not voiced, which is S, and then sm, 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 directly into that. Not small, not smooth, smooth, small, directly into it. Okay, and then if it's at the end, most of the time, if not all the time, because I can't think of any examples otherwise, then it's going to be that Z sound, okay? And you often hear SM words if it's ISM, which is always a noun, by the way, such as realism, realism, realism. It's an artistic movement, right? Materialism, 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 okay? Patriotism, patriotism. There are so many words that end with ISM. We in fact say, oh, that's an ism. That's an ism. So when we say it's an ism, we're saying a word that ends with ism, which is a kind of noun, which is usually a general noun to describe a kind of thing, usually a non-physical thing. For example, patriotism, which is a non-physical kind of noun, kind of thing, right? We say an ism, and there we kind of do have the zum sound. But when we actually say an ism, for example, prism, prism, we're trying to avoid that zum sound. Very quick, as quickly as you can, to jump from one sound to the next. Prism. Okay? So hopefully that's clear. Hopefully it's easy to remember. Just remember that it's not always true. It doesn't always work, but generally speaking, at the start, unvoiced S sound, at the end, voiced S sound as Z with no space between the Z sound and the M sound. And that's it. All right, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. That would be great. That would be fantastic. And also check out my full courses in the links in the description. All right. Good one. Yeah, that would be another example. There's so many ism words. So many ism words. Probably hundreds or thousands. All right, let's go up and see what other interesting questions we can talk about today. Drive someone up the wall and drive someone around the bend. Could you tell me the meaning of them? We've already talked about Korchi. I've already answered the drive someone up the wall question. You've asked that one before. If you missed the answer, then the clip for that will be posted probably in a few weeks. I bought that a script is real English. I mean casual. Oh, you thought. Yes, that's right. That's right. So, but that doesn't mean it's going to help you improve your spoken English. Reading natural English doesn't make you a better English speaker. Speaking English makes you a better English speaker. Reading things doesn't make you better at doing things, right? Learning about things is the background knowledge you need, but you have to do it in order to be good at it and in order to do it naturally. So sitting there and reading movie scripts, oh, I see, that's useful. Oh, that's what native speakers say. Oh, okay, that's natural. Oh, that's casual. Oh, that's nice. But that doesn't make you better at doing those things. There is a very big difference between knowing something and doing something. In fact, it's probably the biggest misunderstanding that people have about learning English, that if you increase your input, somehow magically your output will be better. That is ridiculous, insane, stupid. If you want to have good output, you have to practice output. That's the only way. And the input is just background knowledge. That's how it works. And think about anything else besides learning languages, learning the piano, learning to dance, learning any sport, learning anything like that. You wouldn't say, oh, let me read a book about dance. No. You'd start dancing. Hi. Does the course have a first, second, and third level, or is it only first level? Most of my courses are at the intermediate to going toward higher level. So most people who can understand me speaking now should be able to handle the courses just fine. I don't have any courses for absolute beginners, but if you're an absolute beginner, then you can't understand what I'm saying right now. So I'm just talking to a camera. Could you please once explain in a few sentences or examples all grammar time tenses? How do you use them properly? Maybe do a video where they're all explained together. So Irina, I actually have this completely in a course. And I know you're going to say, oh, you are just promoting yourself. But I mean, some things are really in-depth and complicated, and you can't explain them easily in one sort of simple explanation video. And that's why I make full courses, and that's why people sign up for them. Recently I just reached over 50,000 students in my courses, with over 10,000 reviews on the courses, which is a lot. It's a lot. So I would really encourage you to check out that. And I can show you the section. So here is a, let me just quickly show this to you. Let's see if I can just pop over to this. Hold on. Can I do this? Okay. So here is the page with my courses. This is the home page of my website. This intro of the courses. These are all my courses. Natural English Conversations. This is the only free course. It's an hour long. This one's 3 hours long. This is Speaking Naturally. This is How to Think in English, 3 hours long. This is Making Sounds Clearly in English, 3 hours long. So all of these are really in-depth, comprehensive courses, not just a video, not just talking. In these live streams, I'm not preparing anything. I'm not writing serious lessons. I'm just answering questions, right? So the quality is not going to be as good. Now, in this course, this is the course that I basically spent 8 years working on. This course, okay? Now, I know you see it might be a little expensive, but you can sign up every month and access all of the courses. You can access all of the courses every month for a much smaller fee. And also, if you click on the link, you can get a discount. So if I click on this one, Master Native English. Let's pop over to this course. Then you can see here the course contents, 170 videos. This course is 15.5 hours long. You can preview the first couple lessons if you want for free. First, looks like 3 lessons are free. And then there's a whole section here on tough verb tenses. Overview, simple past, past progressive, present perfect, and past perfect. So there's a whole section on how to use verb tenses correctly. And if you really want to learn that seriously, honestly speaking, that is what I would recommend that you do. I would recommend signing up. And yeah, it has right now 4.5 rating and couple thousand students already. It's actually a relatively new course. It's my newest course, in fact. Okay. Anyway, enough about that. Guys, you can check that out in the links in the description if you like. I wonder what comes after I would rather. I mean, the structure of the sentence. That's a good question. That's a good question. Korchi says, I wonder what comes after I would rather. I mean, the structure of a sentence. Okay. So there are a couple of things that we can use I would rather for. And we also need to mention the question. We use I would rather to state a preference. Okay. If we state a preference with the word prefer, we would say, I would prefer to exercise in the morning than in the evening. I would prefer to exercise in the morning than the evening. And you could pop in rather there, rather than the evening. You could pop it in there, right? If you want to. Okay. Now the question with rather is would you rather? And we use or to state usually 2 things, but you could actually pop in more than 2 things too. Would you rather exercise in the morning or in the evening? Would you rather? Now, I'm asking you to make a choice between those 2. This one or this one. Which one do you like more? Which one do you want more? Which one do you prefer? Right? Would you rather exercise in the morning or in the evening? Okay. Now, to answer the question, the general structure, if the question has been stated and all we're doing is answering the question, all we do is say, I would rather, and then state the thing with the verb. I would rather run in the morning. I would rather run in the evening. So that's actually very simple. I would rather. verb, run, and then state the thing. So whatever it is, okay? Now, if someone says, would you rather have this or that? Or what do you prefer, chocolate or ice cream? Chocolate or ice cream, yeah. Well, I can say I prefer ice cream and just use the noun. I prefer ice cream. That's correct. But I can't say I would rather ice cream. I would rather ice cream. So in that case, if we want to answer, if someone says, would you prefer ice cream or chocolate? What we should say to answer is, I would rather, and then we need to add a verb because we have to use a verb after rather. I would rather have ice cream. I would rather have chocolate. I would rather eat ice cream. I would rather eat chocolate. Okay? But in the question, would you rather run in the evening or run in the morning? The verb is already built into the question, so we just borrow the verb in the answer. I would rather run, because we already used run in the question. So we just use that. Now, you could say I would rather go running in the morning. I would rather run in the morning. I would rather go out running in the morning. I would rather take a run in the morning. Okay, all of those are fine. Now, the other thing to keep in mind here is that sometimes the question and the answer are not so close together. Right, if we say, would you rather run in the morning or the evening? I would rather run in the evening. Okay, those two things are very close together, side by side. But what if we just want to say that and use rather, but no one has asked a question, or maybe the question was asked a long time ago? So then we want to mention both choices. That's also pretty easy. I would rather run in the morning than the evening. Now you might be wondering, should I say run again? I would rather run in the morning than run in the evening. I would rather eat chocolate than eat ice cream. Yeah, I don't recommend that you do, because the verb is not changing. It's the state or the placement of the verb, or the thing that's related to the verb that's changing, right? The time, morning, evening. The food, ice cream, chocolate. The verb is remaining the same. So if it's remaining the same, just use it for the first one. I would rather run in the morning than the evening, or than in the evening. I would rather eat chocolate than ice cream. I would rather eat chocolate than ice cream. That's fine. Okay? So actually, it's pretty simple. I think it's pretty straightforward. Hopefully, I answered your question. Korchi, if you guys have any other questions like this, let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Very important. Subscribe. Touch your nose to the subscribe button. Or your chin. I don't know if my chin would work because I have some hair on my chin, so I don't know if that would actually work on a phone. Haven't tested it yet. I'll have to test that. Also, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and check out my full English courses in the links in the description. Okay. Yes, I hope that answers your question. Hello, KC Master. How are you? Oh, Nectar Sweet is here. Hello, Nectar Sweet. Hi, Luke. Could you explain the difference between real deal and big deal? I guess so. Let me see what other questions we have. In which way we use this statement, get the picture. Wow. Korchi has a lot of questions. I'm not sure if I can get to all of them, Mr. Korchi, but I appreciate that you're asking so many. What is lit, hockey, and hella? I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that one. I mean, I could try to answer it, but yeah. Ism, words like this which end in SM, how do you pronounce that? I think I just talked about that for about 10 minutes. Were you not here for that, Christian? I think I just spent 10 minutes. Well, maybe that was that the original question? I don't know. Okay. Lolly Lolly says, I'm studying English on the internet with American, British, Canadian teachers. In your opinion, is it good to learn English with a mix of accents? Ooh. I like that question. Good question, Lolly Lolly. You were here. I think it was my mistake, Christian. I just read your first question again. Because I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. How do you pronounce chocolate? Chocolate. 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 Some people say chocolate. Chocolate. Most people say chocolate. Chocolate. 2 syllables. All right. I am studying English on the internet with Americans, British people, Canadian. Let me rephrase this. I am studying English on the internet with American, British, and Canadian teachers. In your opinion, is it a good idea to learn English with a mix of accents? The simple answer is yes. Yes, it is. Right? Why? Well, think about it like this. If you only expose yourself to one kind of thing, then yes, you might get good at that one kind of thing, but then you lack adaptability, right? And I'm going to give you an example based on something that my wife has been going through recently, okay? Now, she had always told me, Luke, I understand you so well, and because I understand you so well, I understand many other Americans quite well. I'm used to your accent. Then she had to do a work project where she needed to deal with a lot of people from the UK. And that's obviously a different accent, different pronunciation. And she said to me, it's so hard for me to sometimes understand what these British people are saying, these British colleagues I work with are saying. I don't know what they're talking about sometimes. It's complicated. But then, only a few weeks later, she said, you know what? Actually, I feel much more comfortable now. She sort of leveled up. It's like a video game. You level up, right? You start with the starter pack, the American starter pack. And then you level up. British, level 2. Level 3. I don't know. Canadian? No, Australian. Canadian and American, they're so similar, right? Australian, level 2. South African level, I don't know. But the varying accents that you get exposed to increases your adaptability in listening, your comprehension of the whole language, and your ability to communicate with more people. And it's not that hard to get a feeling for the other accents and dialects. If you only are used to American English, then you might feel, at least for a few weeks, like my wife experienced, you might feel a little lost. And so then the question comes to, well, what about non-native English speakers? And I would say, yes, even that. Even that. That doesn't necessarily it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to learn how non-native speakers speak, but you do need to maybe get used to that way of speaking. So again, just a few weeks ago, she started another project with some Indian English speakers from India. Now, the Indian accent is famously very distinct and very strong and is hard for a lot of people to understand. That's just a common opinion. So she said the same thing that she said about the British English speakers. She said, I'm having trouble understanding what they're saying. It's tough for me. I don't know what they're talking about. A few weeks later, guess what happened? Level 8, leveling up her skills. Now she's talking to a lot of Indian English speakers every day. They have very, you could say, strong accents, if I'm allowed to say that. And she's able to understand them quite well now. So, if your goal is to be good at conversations, if your goal is to level up your skills, if your goal is to understand more of the language, if that's your goal, then yes, you should be listening to a wide variety of accents. You should be exposing yourself to as much as possible because it's going to make you more adaptable and adaptability in language is very important. If you don't care about that and you only want to learn one specific accent and get good at that, I can't say that you're wrong. I can't say that it's bad, but I am a supporter of the idea of adaptability because I think the purpose of language is communication. That's why I like teaching English, because I get to help people communicate better with each other. It's like I'm removing obstacles for people. There are things in the way, preventing ideas from moving across. And my job is to give you ideas and insights and thoughts that help you get your ideas and insights and thoughts across to other people, and make sure that when other people say their ideas and insights and thoughts, that can get across to you. And I'm kind of the middleman. I'm trying to help everybody communicate effectively. That's what language is for, right? So the answer is yes, and that is the reason. Hopefully it makes sense. Lolly Lolly, it's a great question. Maybe the best question we've ever had. Maybe. It's a good one. I really like it. Now, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. That's very important. Make sure you subscribe. And also check out my full English courses in the links in the description. If you want to improve your pronunciation, you absolutely have to check those out. Totally worth it. Make an investment in yourself. Level up yourself. All right, good question. Lolly Lolly, nice one. Congrats to Lolly Lolly. Best question of the year. Best question of 2020. What else do we have here? What else have we got? I might answer one more. Okay. What tenses? Is it important for us as foreigner students to learn all tenses in English? Yes. Simple answer is yes. Yes, it's very important. All right, KC Master's question will be, I think, the last one for today. KC Master, Master of Questions, says, "Hi, Lou." It's together. Could you explain the difference between real deal and big deal? I think the first question that you may be asking yourself is, are these two common? Real deal and big deal, are they common? Yes, they're common. Okay, but how do we use real deal and big deal? Okay, let's start with big deal. Big deal is used for people, it's used for events, it's used for moments in your life, it's used for achievements, and it may be used in the opposite way as well. So for example, if someone is famous in their area, whatever it is, right, you could say that they're a big deal in their area. There's a common movie quote that says, "I'm kind of a big deal. I'm kind of a big deal." Now, that could come across as arrogant. Yes, that's true. It does come across as arrogant. Saying someone is a big deal is fairly common, but again, it could come across as kind of arrogant. Now, events, I think, use big deal more often than people. So we could say something like, if you graduated, you got your master's degree, and you told someone about it, they'd say, "Oh, wow, that's a big deal. That's such a big deal," right? Or if you got an offer from Google to work at Google, say, "Wow, this is a really big deal. You got an offer to work at Google? That is a big deal." That means it's a very important thing. It's a monumental thing. It's a very unusual thing in a positive way for you, right? It's an achievement. It's an achievement. Okay, but it doesn't always have to be for good things. It could be for bad things. If you've made a mistake, right? You sent in your application to Google, and then you realize, "Oh, crap, I accidentally got the dates wrong on my work experience." Then you might say, "Oh, I hope it's not a big deal to them," right? Is that a big deal? So then we're worrying about if something is important or not. If it is a big deal, then Google will say, "You got the dates wrong. No, get out." We're not going to consider you, right? But saying it in that way, showing my fear and my anxiety, wondering if it's a big deal, might be focusing more on the negative aspect. Now, people also focus on their values when they use big deal. So they might say things like, spending time with my family is a big deal to me. Spending time with my kids is a big deal to me. Playing golf is a really big deal to me. That means I value it, it's important to me, it matters to me, it means something to me. We say it's a big deal to me. Now, do we say big deal for things that we just like? For example, someone likes coffee. Coffee is a big deal to me. Well, yeah, in my case, I like coffee so much that I would say, yes, coffee is a big deal to me. But for most things, like, I don't know, going swimming or some other thing that you may just enjoy, it might not be as common to use it. You could, I suppose. Is video games a big deal to you? Yes, video games is a big deal to me. Yeah, I guess you could say it, but it's not nearly as common in that type of situation. Okay, now what about real deal? That's the real deal. This is when someone sees something that is the genuine article, right? Or it's truly happening. It could be for an event as well, but it's truly happening, okay? And sometimes people use it to say that this thing is so authentic that is kind of the best version of that. If you watch a TED Talk, and it's a really good TED Talk, and you say, that presenter, that speaker is really good. That TED Talk, that is the real deal. That is the real deal. The real deal means the ultimate, authentic version of what a good talk or presentation is, right? So we often talk about things in a positive way when we want to say something is the real deal. But we also use this when we want to talk about things like products, right? Something that's cheaper, maybe counterfeit or knockoff, or just a cheaper kind of version of this kind of thing. We might say, well, that one's okay, but personally, I'd rather get the real deal. So let's say, I mentioned golf, so let's say golf clubs, okay? Let's say there is a set of golf clubs that costs $150 and another one that costs $450 that is a good brand, like Callaway, okay? It's a good brand of golf clubs. Now, someone might say, I know that the reviews on this set of cheaper clubs are good, very high reviews, but you know what? I'd rather have the real deal. I might spend a little more and get the Callaway clubs. I want the real deal. Now, does that mean the other clubs are fake? No. It just means I'm using real deal to talk about quality and to emphasize that this thing is the good version of it. So it's kind of similar to the way I used it for the TED Talk, right? It's the real deal. In fact, sometimes we substitute that with the genuine article. The genuine article. That's the real deal. That's the genuine article. Could you use it for just saying whether something is fake or real, right? Yeah, you could. You could. What are bags? A Coach bag, right? If you go to Canal Street in New York City, you see a lot of fake Coach bags. But maybe a real one got in there by accident. And you're looking through them, and the seller is trying to sell them to you for $5, and you look at one, you go, oh my God. This is the real deal. This is the real deal. So that just simply means, it doesn't mean I think it's great. It doesn't mean I think it's better than other things. It just means I think this is genuine. This is a genuine one. It's not a fake one. So it's used that way too. So Casey Master, very good question. I hope I answered your question. Both are complex. I would recommend you look up both of these on thefreedictionary.com to get further examples because that's a great place to look up idioms and expressions. Again, great question. If you haven't already, guys, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe and check out my full courses in the links in the description. All right. All right, guys. I think we're going to call it a day. We're going to call it a day. I'm going to go grab some dinner, get some coffee, drink some more water. I've got a book club later. I'm going to read. I got to do a little reading. So, guys, thanks for joining. I appreciate you. I will be doing another one of these next week. Actually, probably do 2 or 3 next week. So make sure you subscribe so that you can see when those are happening. If you have questions, get them ready. Prepare your questions, and hopefully we'll get to them. I know I can't get to all the questions all the time, but I do my best. So, guys, thanks again. Don't forget to hit like. I would really, really, really appreciate that. Hit that like button. It's extremely important. It's very important. Super important. And also, don't forget, if you're really serious in investing in yourself, if you're ready to level up your skills, check out those full courses in the links in the description. You can sign up for a monthly membership if you want, which is relatively affordable, and you can access all the courses when you have that membership. All right. Thanks, guys. I will see you in the next one.